Various stakeholders gathered recently to validate the policy and implementation strategy for plant genetic resource for food and agriculture. PASIC is part of this process and spoke to some of the participants about why Uganda needs this policy.
Today is on plant genetic resources for food and agriculture, and it's brief PGRFA. Plant genetic resources for food and agriculture is mainly engaged in conservation of plant genetic resources, which is the basis or which is the base for all our plant genetics, including the land races. These are the materials that are out in the field, and the improved varieties of different types of crops, ranging from vegetables, cereals, legumes, pulses, call it, name it. So this is the basis for which human race depends for their livelihood.
So this policy is really about ensuring that this country has organized strategies, programs and structures for ensuring the conservation, sustainable use and the fair and equitable sharing benefits arising from the utilization of our resources.
Now, the important aspect of passing this policy is that it becomes a legal basis on which anybody dealing with the genetic resources, both from within or outside the country, should be paying back to those communities that maintain these genetic resources.
Will enhance equitable utilization of genetic resources, and it will guide its use among different stakeholders. It will also save the existing germplasm which we are losing at an accelerated rate. Another advantage is that we have genetic resources which are not yet exploited, and we are using it in an ad hoc way, and some of them are already getting out of the country without benefit to the communities and the country at large. I give an example. One wild rice type was collected from Uganda in 1976, taken to the International Gene Bank in Philippines, and used for breeding to develop resistance to bacterial leaf blight. It's used internationally, is known as from Uganda, but very little accrues to the country in that. So we really need this policy.
It must be owned. There must be an ownership process. So stakeholders at various levels have gone through this policy. As it was discussed this morning, it has now taken more than 10 years since it was formulated. That's quite a long time, but that's expected in policy formulation process. But since we've gone through the primary processes now, we are almost at the tail end process. My belief is that once it is passed and then it is presented to Cabinet and Cabinet endorses it, it then becomes actualized. So, to the best of my knowledge, maybe in the next 1.5 years, it should be under actual implementation.
Once this policy is in place, we will be able to regenerate germplasm collected because funds will be available. We are going to have personnel trained that can help in archiving the germplasm, and alternative uses of this germplasm will be coded for the benefit of the nation and for the world at large. Therefore, it's another source of economic value to the country once it is in place.